It's the G.I. Joe Hall of Fame collection. Duke, Stalker, Snake Eyes, and Cobra Commander. Each 12 inches tall and authentically detailed with real combat accessories and light and sound weapons for really big action. The G.I. Joe Hall of Fame collection. It's a whole new way to play. Figures sold separately.
I wish this could last all night. All night.
Duracell. Oh, it can. And tomorrow night, and maybe the next night, and the following day. The copper top. No battery is stronger, longer.
Who's got a crush on you?
Hello, hunks. It's Dream Phone, the electronic game with the talking phone. To win cool guys, get clues, figure out which guy really likes you.
He's not wearing the hat.
Bye, guys. What'd he say? My secret. Ah, you.
He's not at the beach.
See you later, guys. It's Dan. Dan, my man.
You're right. I really like you.
Yes. Dream Phone, the hot electronic talking phone game.
It's for you.
Cheese, glorious cheese.
Order Italian food with real cheese. Order Mexican food with real cheese.
Cheese, glorious cheese.
Order sandwiches with real cheese. Whatever you order in your favorite restaurant, real cheese makes it better.
It's cheese, marvelous cheese, fabulous cheese, glorious cheese.
What's Nickelodeon's new game show Finders Keepers all about? It's easy. All you gotta do is find the hidden pictures.
Hot dog is correct.
Find the hidden clues.
Is it the comb? Is it the comb? It is the comb for $50.
Keep the cash. Keep the prizes. Keep it all.
All right, you ready to go? All right. Find it.
Finders Keepers. Find it every weekday at 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock Central, only on Nickelodeon.
Because Captain Crunch only picks sweet, yummy, special berries like us.
Making my Crunchberry cereal.
Very delicious.
Yay, Crunch Berries!
Crunchberries are a very sweet part of a balanced breakfast.
When you got a big taste for bubble gum, you can follow the captain and get yourself some. 2 whole packs that'll blow you away in peanut butter crunch or crunch berries. Hey, rainbow bubble gum, especially marked boxes.
Where are you going with those stripes?
That's Aqua Fresh for kids. Just follow me.
Toothpaste? I hate to brush.
Aqua Fresh for kids makes brushing fun. It's got a zingy taste kids love. Fluoride too, and it's easy to pump and has a neat top.
Great, but how are you going to get those stripes in there?
Watch. Aqua Fresh for kids. I make brushing fun.
My McDonald's Happy Meal, please. Thank you. My McDonald's Happy Meal, please. Rabble, rabble. Hamburglar, you've really become attached to that McDonald's Happy Meal.
Here come the Fraggles in their vegetable cars. And you can get either Gobo Fraggle, or Red, or Boober and Wembley, or Moki when you buy a McDonald's Happy Meal featuring Fraggle Rock. Fraggle Rock toys at McDonald's.
Cronin takes the ball at the top of the key. He pops.
Jerry! 3-point!
He's double teamed. He's driving over the top. Slam dunk for Jerry! What moves? Cronin's teams. They're all over him. He breaks loose. Swish! Jerry! You know, ever since I got this Nerf hoop, I don't mind going to my room to do my homework.
Jerry! Are you studying?
Cronin shoots from midcourt. Yes! Does this kid ever miss?
There's only one Nerf.
Hi, time for timer. What? No time for breakfast? Now look, since 6 o'clock last night you haven't eaten a bite. Come on, I'll show you why that's really not the way for a growing kid to start a busy day. Here we are inside your body, and this noisy empty space is your stomach getting angry because there's no food in the place. Uh-oh, let's find some food fast. Now listen. I don't want you to think this is the best way to eat breakfast, but in case you can't cook, and if you haven't time for a good cereal in a well-balanced meal, then this quickie breakfast is better than nothing at all, okay? Hey, here's orange juice and milk and fruit just waiting to be taken. And bless my soul, right here's a bowl with one cold piece of steak in, a hard-boiled egg, a chicken leg, or cheese or luncheon meat, or a peanut butter sandwich. Any time of day is a treat. So to keep your mom from grumbling and stop that stomach rumbling and keep your legs from stumbling when you play, you've got to eat some kind of breakfast every day.
Who cares?
Class is in session at Bayside High. There's biology,
Chocolate-covered grasshoppers.
chemistry, psychology.
Doesn't anybody feel the way I feel?
Saved by the Bell premieres Monday, November 2nd on TBS.
I was tired, listless. My hair looked bad. My dog moved away. My life was as bland as your average chicken sandwich. Then I tried McDonald's new Max Grill. Now this was different.
A marinated chicken breast with Monterey Jack, sweet red onions, tangy herb dressing on an oven-fresh roll. Well, things changed. My hair looks great. My dog came home, and we struck oil in the backyard.
Coincidence? We don't think so. Try McDonald's new Max Grill. Further proof that what you want is what you get at McDonald's today.
Introducing Quackers, little ducks with a lot of flavor. So now, all the cheddar cheese flavor of a cheddar cheese puff is in a little duck. And all the sour cream and onion flavor of a sour cream and onion chip is also in a little duck. New flavor-coated Quackers in sour cream and onion, crispy original and cheddar. A lot of flavor in a little duck.
It only happens once a year. The spirit, the spell, the haunting of Halloween 1987. The treat is all day, all night horror. The trick is to get out alive. From the true masters of scaremonies to classic tales of terror, you're invited to celebrate Halloween 1987. Saturday on USA.
Monday, you're invited to a wild Halloween party at Melrose Place.
What are you doing on the loose?
Well, I guess all the monsters and goblins are out.
Get ready for an evening of shocking surprises
I'm pregnant.
and things that go bump in the night. Melrose Place, part of Fox's Halloween Bash, Monday.
They came for a day in the park, a day of thrills. They could never have imagined how deadly a thrill could be.
Everybody on that coaster is gonna die.
NBC takes you on the ride of your life. Experience the thrill in 3Ds. In a remote corner of the South Pacific, an exiled scientist created something impossible. Unmistakably human. Undeniably animal. On the island of Dr. Moreau.
I'd like to present my children.
Father? Oh my God. Now, he's upset the balance of nature.
Have you ever considered that for every minute we're studying them, they're studying us?
And with the key of science,
What's going on?
he's unlocked the gates of hell. Marlon Brando, Val Kilmer, David Thewlis in the terrifying motion picture event of the year. There is no escape from the island of Dr. Moreau. Coming soon to a theater near you.
There's more spine-tingling terror as The Simpsons continues next.
He's elephant, the elephant, see him float.
Butterflies everywhere, watch them go!
Going through his trunk up to the sky.
Boy, they're tickly little guys!
It's Elephant, the butterfly blowing elephant game. Grab your nets and catch as many as you can. Catch the most and you win.
Everywhere you look, there's butterflies. Catch them with your nets when you see them floating by.
And I'll snip them in again and blow them out! I'm Elephant the elephant!
Good morning, my lovelies, and good afternoon to my lovely limeys. I know it's afternoon over there already. You guys got to give me a bit, okay? Listen, I just poured my coffee. It's earlier than I'm normally live, but it is really good to see you guys. It is good to hang out with you. Nobody I'd rather be hanging out with right now. So I don't know what to expect of this. This is just going to be, I'm just going to stream the second hearing. I don't imagine that it's going to last very long. And once it's over, then we're just going to get petty and have some fun as best as we can. So, but yeah, there's interesting stuff happening. Interesting stuff happening. There's a lot of misinformation getting tossed around, and it's been kind of a bummer because these, I have here, I'm not going to be able to translate it much, but, I have here these court documents. This was filed on the 30th of December. Basically, this is the sealing of all the documents, findings and conclusions on motions to seal documents. And basically, this is all it is. This is the document that's basically saying that everything's got to be sealed. Cops can't talk about the case. Nothing to that effect. Well, that's, to me, the fact that the police are under court order to not talk about the case is a relief. And I know a lot of you are thinking, what, Claire, how can you say that? Here's the thing is before this motion and before this ruling of the court, we were getting nearly daily updates. And those updates were basically designed to just squash rumors and irresponsible speculation and misinformation. And I loved that because I'd never seen a law enforcement agency so dedicated to managing that. I thought that was great. I'd never seen that before. And I thought that it was really helpful. It was doing well. And then as soon as it goes silent, conveniently trash channels decide to start just going and running amok. But what I've learned to love, because I was really upset about this, and I was like, man, now, okay, that's great. Now they're going to keep everything close to the vest. All I care about is justice, whatever it takes to make sure that they get a conviction if this is the guy, which based on that probable cause affidavit, I do believe that they have their man. And I want there to be justice. I want, if they have a solid case, I want them to be able to present it, and I don't want him to get acquitted on technicalities or there being a mistrial or anything of that nature. I don't want the defense to pull any tricks, to get this guy off. And so I was really discouraged, because I was like, well, okay, yeah, we're not going to get any updates, and that's fine. I don't care about the updates, but I loved that Chief Fry was constantly going and putting out videos almost every day regarding rumors and speculation and misinformation. And he wouldn't necessarily confirm things, but he would definitely disconfirm things. And I thought that was really helpful and great. Now, since he's not been doing that, like I said, all the trash channels just started going and running amok. But what I love is that the bigger YouTube channels have been subtly and directly, but subtly, without naming any names or putting anybody out there. Because I don't mind. I like putting people's names out there. I like calling people out on their bullshit. But I understand those who don't. But those bigger channels, they'll call these people out without calling them out, and they'll just debunk the information, such as Ick and Mel, such as Mike King from Profiling Evil, which I think is great. And and they're also making appearances in borderline mainstream media. Court TV has been doing a great job of debunking some of these things without giving any clout to any of the channels that are releasing this stuff to look for clout. So they're managing to debunk them without giving them the clout that they're looking for. Now, then there's Nancy Grace. And I know a lot of people don't agree with me on Nancy. I am not a fan of Nancy Grace in the slightest bit. I do not like her. This latest thing that I'm seeing is ridiculous. It's my latest community post. Dr. Edward Moskowitz, thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, so I mean, it's just, how is what she's doing here any different than what, you know, any of these other tragedy pimps are doing? You know what I mean? Like, why did she set up a potluck table like it's a desk? Like, what is she implying here? That she's gonna just post up? Like, that's what Nancy Grace is doing? She's just gonna post up in front of the crime scene and do her research and broadcast from there? Like, you know that's not gonna happen. This is, to me, this is no different than these idiots who put together a meet and greet and then decided to film themselves in front of the Watts house, like fangirls. Really disturbing and really gross. And just because she's Nancy Grace, I don't think that she should get a pass. Yeah, caption, people like the caption. What in the strangler boobs is going on here? She is absolutely one of the worst tragedy pimps. And the fact that she, you know, has, you know, Chris McDumbass as a panelist all the time, Chris McFucking dipshit, is the fact that she has him constantly on there, you know, like as if he's some sort of fucking expert. And, you know, he could be, but the problem is that if these people bothered to vet or even cared what their YouTube content was, well, then they wouldn't even dare associate themselves with people like Chris McDipshit. You know, it's strange to me. And the fact that, yeah, no, Chris is horrible, Merritt. Horrible. You know, he only goes on there for clout, and he got it. Like, you know what he did? He showed up. Chris McDipshit showed up to the Idaho thing because he knew everyone was going to be talking about it. He didn't do anything. He just stood there, you know, and just wanted to be seen on camera. And so because he was there and he was seen on camera, he managed to have that kind of pull to where he could be just stand there fucking useless and be seen on camera. Well, that gets him a spot on trash ass tabloid, you know, true crime podcasts and shit like this, like Nancy Grace here. And that's not, you know, I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed because so far when I'm listening to these people, like I know Ikadmel likes to play them all the time, and I don't know if he leans one way or the other. It doesn't matter to me. That doesn't change my opinion of Ikadmel in any way, shape, or form. But I was listening and I was watching Ikadmel, and he was streaming one of her podcasts or whatever, and everyone on there are supposed to be experts, and none of them knew what the fuck they were talking about. Like, none of them were making any sense. It was actually pretty ridiculous. I think the only person that did make any sense was Mike King. And then once he spoke, everyone shut the fuck up, and there was this weird pause. And Nancy Grace was like, I can't say that I disagree with you. So yeah, I'm not a fan of Nancy Grace at all. And this just seals the deal. I mean, just this image right here is just, can we get a table? Like, I could just see her setting that shit up. Can we get a table over here? Can we get a desk? Can we? Well, we have to get a U-Haul truck, and then we'll have to find a desk. Well, forget the desk. Well, can we get something that's like a desk? Can we please do that? Can we get something that makes it look like I'm sitting at a desk? Thank you, Kara Alsup. Keep talking out the trash. We love you. Thank you. I love you. Dr. Edward Moskowitz, again, thank you so much. Yes, I met his friend in Pocatello, Idaho. Interesting story. Call me only Glare. Okay. Now, yeah. I mean, True Crimes, Paul and Dean. I love it. I love it. Yeah. Hey, listen, what's your name? What's your name? Listen, I'm not asking for the problems. Okay. I'm telling you what I want. And what I want is a solution. Can I get something that I can sit behind that makes it look like I'm sitting at a desk? Okay. Now, unless you want to be an intern for the rest of your life, I suggest that you get this. Okay. I just want to have the baby. I don't want to have the labor pains. You understand? Okay. Now, how good would it be if I just sat here and I got this beautiful shot of me, okay, of me, because I'm on the case and I'm sitting here in front of the place where, yes, I know 4 people got murdered. I know that the families are getting restless and they want justice and they're grieving. I don't care if it's disrespectful. I'm doing them a favor. I'm out here putting attention on their case. So I'm just going to sit here and then you're going to get a picture of me with my green lime sherbet gloves. Okay. These are green lime sherbet. I could only get them through Martha Stewart's website. They're exclusive through Martha Stewart's website. My lime green sherbet fingerless gloves, because my fingers need to be seen. My fingers need to be seen. And look, I've got a map. I've got a map sitting right here. I want to make sure that we get a map in the shot so that it looks like I know where the hell we are. Where the hell are we? Does anybody know where? And where is my Mary Callender's chicken pot pie? Nobody's got my Mary Callender's chicken pot pie. Jesus Christ. Bunch of amateurs out here. Fucking amateur hour. You fucking bunch of nerve-wracking motherfuckers. Oh man, let's see where we're at on this real quick. See where we're getting, if this is getting started anytime soon. Have it in the background ready to go. Let's see what the chat is talking about here. Look, people still look. They got to know. Does anyone believe he had help or acted alone if he's found guilty? No, just assholes like you want there to be an accomplice so that there's more drama, more for you to sit there and fucking drool over and go, oh my God, and have a dun 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 moment in your head because you're a fucking jackass. Because the last thing on your mind is that these parents get closure and get some sort of peace in their lives after losing the most important person in their lives. Let's all judge and pretend we know what's actually facts and not. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to take, see, this is the thing, is I'm going to take the probable cause affidavit as close to fact as possible. I mean, I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt as being fact, simply because I don't think that would be there unless they felt that they could prove everything that was in there. The whole point of this probable cause affidavit is just one step in making sure that his rights are not violated and that he gets a fair trial, and they're not going to present what they have and claim they have this proof without actually presenting the proof. That would be suicide as far as the trial goes. So why would they do that? So I do believe that they have what they say they have, and if they have what they say they have, then I think that they've got a strong case. He smiled at his lawyer and he has to be guilty. I hope you're being sarcastic. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, and that's what's messed up is I'm still not 100% convinced that Barry Morphew is guilty just because of the shit job the prosecution did in jumping the gun. You know, like that was enough to create doubt. The whole thing with the mirror and somebody else's DNA, you know what I mean? Like that's enough. If I'm a juror, that's enough to create doubt in my mind. So, I mean, expect this dude. I guess his lawyer's a public defender. I don't know. No, it's 10 a.m. Eastern. 10:30 a.m. Eastern is when this starts. So that'll be in just under 11 minutes. How do you know that? See, here's the thing. Enough is enough. How do you know that? Based on the circumstantial evidence case that they put together? Because it was purely circumstantial, I'm telling you. And I'm not saying that I believe he's innocent, but I wasn't ready to throw the book at this guy. I mean, the whole voting for Trump thing twice using her name to vote, that was a bad move. But that could just be some bullshit that any Trump supporter would fucking desperately try to pull. People love Trump. Like, people who love Trump love Trump. You know what I mean? I wouldn't put it past a fucking dipshit like that guy to fucking do that, you know? But the same could be said about anybody who hates Trump, because people voted against Trump because they hate Trump. So they'll vote for Biden 10 times if they can to make sure that fucking Trump doesn't get elected. Y'all are crazy. That's a whole nother conversation. I don't even want to get into like how crazy I think all you all who support either Trump or Biden are. You guys are all nuts as far as I'm concerned. Okay. Yeah, well, I'll give you that. Yeah, poor investigation from the get-go for sure. Who knows? Yeah, no politics. This is the politics that we talk in here are pretty much anti-politics. See, because people here could be like Trump 2024, right on. You could blast that shit in my chat all you want. It's all good. I'm not going to judge you for being a supporter. I mean, I'll call you crazy like I just did. But I mean, it doesn't mean that I think any less of you as a person. You know what I mean? You like who you like, man. This is a beautiful country. I love America because you can vote for anybody that you want, and you feel strongly about anybody that you want, and you have the power to make that change in numbers. And I think that that's a beautiful thing. So my whole thing is, like I've said before, if you're gonna, I don't care who you vote for, just vote. You know, just vote. That's all I say. I don't give a shit who you vote for. Who you vote for is none of my business. Because who I vote for is none of your fucking business. So, you know, but you better believe I'm going to vote. Johnny Depp 2024. And what a bummer about Jeff Beck, huh? I mean, I wasn't a huge Jeff Beck fan, but growing up a Zeppelin fan and knowing that Jimmy Page was his predecessor in the Yardbirds, yeah, I loved. I liked a couple of Yardbird songs, but I was never like a huge Jeff Beck fan, you know. But it's really sad that he died. You know, I'm really sad that the last thing that he did was Hollywood Vampires with Johnny Depp's band. I thought that was no good. Last thing you want to do is be associated with Johnny Depp. Okay, Johnny Depp is a horrible person. Johnny Depp has no talent. Yeah. I don't feel that he was guilty of the things that Amber Heard had accused him of, but I still say cancel him anyway, just because fuck him. I'm just kidding. I love Johnny Depp. I'm on the Johnny Depp bandwagon with everybody else. Calm down. Johnny's brain isn't mush at this point. Stop it. He's all right. Get y'all. Oh my God. Claire, dude, if you guys don't realize that like 90% of the shit that comes out of my mouth is sarcasm, I don't know what to tell you. Seems like it will be a chaotic day. Just stepping in to remind you that you're a good one. Also, funk politics. Agreed. Sinner 1977. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And what is going on, man? Like, does anybody know what's going on? I know Tug was live yesterday, that umbrella guy, and he was explaining that Nick Rekieta from Rekieta Law is getting sued. Who's suing Nick Rekieta? I mean, that's interesting. I don't know who's suing him. And I don't know the circumstances and of why he's getting sued. So I don't have any opinion on the matter, but because I mean, I know that Nick Rekieta is very, very outspoken. He's very, very forward, very direct, which is something that I can relate to very much so. The difference is that he's educated and I'm not. He's actually an attorney. But hold on. Wait, Tata Jedi just gave me some really good advice. Hold on. Everybody, Tata Jedi, Billy. He says, I need you to take a moment and think about deleting your channel. Here. I'll take 300 seconds to do that while you sit in the corner, buddy. Well, as I keep talking, I'll keep thinking about it. So just wanted you to know. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what the circumstances of Nick's lawsuit is. But I look forward to finding out what it is. Chances are, from what I'm hearing from people, they're saying that the dude suing him is a little it's got some marbles loose. This is supposedly starting in 3 minutes, y'all. 3 minutes to a whole lot of nothing, because this is the second court hearing, and I guess they're streaming it. But I don't think anything here is going to happen. I don't know if he's maybe going to plead. I don't know if this is where he pleads guilty or not guilty. I don't know what's going on. But we're going to find out. I'm gonna pour some coffee in the meantime. Yeah, this is what the early morning streams are like, folks. Like it's early in the morning. Like 10 a.m. is early in the morning. Dr. Edward Moskowitz again. Thank you so much. The irony is, I don't think Bryan Kohberger likes females too much, evidenced by his cut-off smile to his lawyer. He has female judge and female lawyer. It's just intuition. Well, considering, yeah, I'd say he's probably got some sort of hang up against women. Most of these psycho shitbags do. Yeah, I don't consider that to be a mental health issue, you know, being a misogynistic prick because you got rejected all through your entire young adult life doesn't mean that you know, it doesn't mean that you've gone crazy. No, it just means that you're just a bitter little bitch and then you decided to take it out on women generally because maybe you objectified them. Maybe you never actually looked at a woman as an individual and actually focused on her actual personality and the things that made her her. You know, maybe if you actually didn't look at women as a general thing when you were looking at one woman and talking to one woman, maybe one would be interested in you. You ever think of that? Fucking psychos. I don't know. People are nuts, dude. I don't know, but I guess it's probably gonna be the same thing as the other thing. I mean, it's WFLA. We'll probably listen to fucking JB and that other dude. And I like JB. JB's all right. He grew on me. One pool camera shown after the appearance like last time? Probably. I mean, I'm just going by what it says here. Idaho murder suspect Bryan Kohberger's second court hearing. Hashtag Hey JB live on WFLA now. So yeah, it's probably just going to be JB with a correspondent in his ear. Yes, just 1 second, guys. We're hearing some. Apparently, he just winked. Apparently, he smiled at his lawyer. Too early for a cigarette. What are you talking about? This is part of my waking up process. I got my coffee. I already hit my pen. I got a new cart, so it's not like clogging. So pretty great. So it's not clogging on me, which is great. And all of this part of my waking up process. I woke up at like 5 though, and then went back to sleep. I've been watching this thing on Apple TV because I caught like a replay of the Golden Globes, and it was just built up a lot. So I was like, let me check it out. And there was a lot of stuff that I'd watched that I didn't think was going to get nominated. Like I watched this weird ass movie that took place in like 1920s or early 1900s Ireland, and it had like Colin Farrell and this other dude. I can't remember his name, but I see him in a bunch of stuff. He played like the redheaded sidekick in Braveheart. That was like, I could crush you like a worm. You know, the guy with the boulder. He was in it, and Weird movie, man. Super weird movie, but I enjoyed it. I did like it, but I didn't realize that it got nominated for a bunch of stuff. Was that justice? Thank you so much. We'll have to watch the replay once I get to work. It's time to make the donuts. Have a great day, Will. All right. God bless you for making those donuts too. So yeah, it's this weird ass movie, man. Like basically the premise.
I've been using Persona for about 5 to 6 months now. Health is very important.
The premise was basically that Colin Farrell, and he had a buddy that he would go to the pub with all the time. And then his buddy just decided one day he didn't like him anymore. And he was just like, don't talk to me, leave me alone. And he was ignoring him. And then he got to a point where he was like, because Colin Farrell was like, I don't understand. We were friends. You just all of a sudden decide you don't like me anymore. You don't want to be my friend anymore. And the guy's like, yeah, basically, I don't want to be your friend anymore. And then it gets to a point where he just builds up. And he goes, dude, if you don't leave me alone, for every time that you bother me, I'm going to cut off one of my fingers. And I was like, that's fucking extreme, you know? Like, and he ends up cutting off, like, it's crazy. But it's a comedy. It's not even, it's weird. It's like a drama comedy. It's not even, it wasn't even really meant to be funny. It was meant to have like the same feel as like an old Irish folk song. But it got nominated for a bunch of stuff. It won Best Screenplay. So it's on HBO Max, I think, right now. Full screen that. I don't need to look at the comments. The Banshees of yeah, that's it. Banshees of Inisherin. Oh, so the music's just gonna start over. Okay. What? No Nancy Grace sitting in front of there? What? I mean, Nancy Grace just straight up pulled a BHB. Get a shot of me sitting in front of the crime scene. I want the tape in the shot, the crime scene tape. I want that in the shot. Oh, what's my favorite Rocky movie? That's a good question. My favorite Rocky movie, I have to say the director's cut of Rocky 4 that just recently came out. Now I can't find it anywhere because I want to watch it again. But yeah, it's called Rocky versus Drago, and it's like a completely different movie. It was all shot back then, but it's like a completely different movie, kind of like the Richard Donner cut of Superman 2. Totally different movie. Great movie though. But yeah, Rocky 4, definitely the best one. If I could change, and you could change, everybody could change. All right, Dragonfly, you got to get the fuck out now. Okay, I'm not going to hide you. Just have some self-respect. Put your head between your legs and walk out of the chat. Get the fuck out. I'm just kidding. No, you don't go. You don't have to go. You don't have to go. I'm just giving you shit. That's just my way of expressing to you that why the fuck have you never seen a Rocky movie? You need to watch all the Rocky movies. All of them. And then transition on to the Creed franchise. Hell yeah, James Brown living in America. Hell yeah. Disinformation.
Good morning, folks. Welcome into the WFLA Now
No,
Stream
Rocky
Center,
Five's
getting
still
ready
good.
to launch our streaming coverage
Crazy.
across all platforms. I'm JB Buno here at WFLA Now
JB
in
Buno.
Tampa Bay, Florida, covering this morning the second court appearance for Idaho murder suspect Bryan Kohberger. He will be in court for a status hearing. We will talk more about the legalities, what exactly is expected to happen, and of course, we will have the court feed for you, not live, but the moment that it's fed out our way via satellite, we'll of course be sharing it with you here live on stream once it's legally permissible to do so. The moment that the hearing is done, we can share with you a playback of what takes place inside
Here, I
the
thought
courtroom.
that you were a
We're going
stand-up
to
guy,
launch our
JB.
streaming coverage momentarily, but before we do, I want to go to a report from News Nation's Bryan Enton with one of the latest big questions on this case surrounding the surviving roommate. Here's the latest report from News Nation's Bryan Enton. We'll be back in just a little bit.
Victim Kaylee Gonzalez's sister speaking exclusively to News Nation, asking people to hold off judgment against the surviving roommate who saw the killer.
Yeah!
Behind me.
I love it.
The families of the Idaho murder victims are preparing for Bryan Kohberger's next court hearing this week, as we hear from Kaylee Gonzalez's sister Olivia for the first time since Kohberger was arrested. There's this feeling that many have shared that perhaps Kohberger was watching the interviews, was in the Facebook groups, was on Twitter. Do you get a sense that that might be the case, that he was almost watching all of this as it played out?
I do. A lot of that comes from the fact that he had visited the home so many times before, late at night, early hours. He's presented this pattern of behavior. He went back to the home the morning of before police had been called, I think to see if his circus, so to say, had started to unfold. And I think that he would not have been able to refrain from engaging with the online communities, the theories, the conspiracies, and everything in between.
Kaylee's sister speaking exclusively with News Nation, saying it is terrifying that true evil was watching over the college students. She's also defending surviving roommate Dylan Mortensen, who police say was awake and saw the killer, but did not call 911 for almost 8 hours.
I do know Dylan is really young, and she was probably really, really scared. And until we have any more information, I think everyone should stop passing judgments, because you don't know what you would do in that situation.
Yes! The Gonzalez's are in the process of setting up a foundation to help keep Kaylee's memory alive. Xana Konodal's family has set up a scholarship in her name at the University of Idaho. Did you feel any relief, Sydney, when there was the announcement of an arrest?
Yeah, definitely a little bit. I still think there's a lot of answers that I would like. So until I get those, I think I still am going to be a little hung up on this. So just about the answers, I guess.
Sydney Gribnitz was Xana's childhood best friend. Now Sydney and her dad have started a fundraiser through their gymnastics academy in Florida to raise money for Xana's scholarship endowment.
Xana was one of our students for about 6 years. And besides that, she was also one of my daughter's best friends. So she was always at our house. Her dad was single. She would come to our house until he'd pick her up after work. So it was almost like losing another daughter. So it's been a really difficult time period for sure.
The fraternity Sigma Chi also setting up a scholarship in Ethan Chapin's name. So many of these families and friends trying to turn this tragedy into some form of good. In Moscow, Idaho, I'm Bryan Enton.
See, I love this. This is what I was talking about before.
WFLA Now will begin momentarily.
See, I love this because the this is what I was talking about is a little bit the crossover into more or less mainstream media. I don't know if I'd call News Nation mainstream media necessarily. I wouldn't necessarily call them tabloid either, you know, like I wouldn't put them there with Daily Mail. Definitely put them above Daily Mail, but to hear them, you know, to hear Bryan Enton being very respected as a correspondent in the true crime community, and to hear him and to hear JB, who's also very respected in the true crime community, I'm grateful that that they are speaking up in defense of Dylan. I think that that's really, really great of them. And all of these channels, man, all of these channels, you're just being debunked little by little. I love it. I absolutely love it. And after this is over, we're going to go into some of those details. We're going to get a little petty and we're going to have some fun.
Students at the University of Idaho. We're going to take you inside the courtroom for the live feed with streaming coverage here live on WFLA now. Welcome into the Stream Center, folks. JB here with you live across almost all platforms. We're going to be launching live on Facebook Live momentarily once we do have the feed from Idaho. Now let's explain how this is going to work. Some know this already, some don't. We do not, based on Idaho court rules, we do not have a live feed from inside the courtroom, even though cameras are permitted inside the courtroom. We talk about this all the time on live stream, how different states and different counties and judicial jurisdictions have different court policies. Sometimes that can be specific to particular judges. In this case, with Idaho rules, we cannot live feed out of the courtroom itself for this hearing and hearings in the future. However, what we do have is cameras inside the courtroom where it's legally allowed that the moment that the hearing is concluded, they can feed that out via satellite, via TV feed, and we can get it, of course, here in the Stream Center, and we're going to play it back as what's called an as live. So we'll take you inside the courtroom itself,
as live,
but we're going to have to wait a little bit of time for when the hearing is done. The hearing itself is expected to be quite short, very short,
right?
Minutes.
Yeah,
this is a status hearing to potentially set up a preliminary hearing, and we're following, of course, all the reporting that's being done in Moscow about exactly how this is going to take.
I don't know. I mean, if they're not here, I don't want to pause it.
So Bryan Kohberger and his defense team, they have
I don't know
to make this.
If they're going to stream the actual trial or not. They probably will. I mean, there's a large demand for it, so they probably will. Normally they don't if it's a federal case, and even though the FBI played a very intricate part in this investigation, it is not under federal jurisdiction. So it is still under Moscow Police Department's jurisdiction. So there is a good chance that it will get streamed. But like I said, yeah, and Dragonflies definitely. I'm not going to hold it against you that you've never seen a Rocky movie, but you've obviously got some sense because when it comes down to a law breakdown, I do definitely recommend watching those channels. I mean, I like that you guys like watching me and you like to hear my take on things. And you guys understand that I don't have any legal training at all whatsoever, but I do recommend, since you guys are smart people and I take pride in the fact that I have a smart chat and a smart audience, that you guys actually go and pay attention to the channels that are run by attorneys who are covering this case, like Emily Baker being one of them, as well as Mystery Maven ESQ. She's great. I really wish that she had more subs, but I like that she's covering this as much as she can. Again, she's a very busy attorney, so she doesn't have a whole lot of time to YouTube, but I think that her channel really has a chance of growing because she's really articulate and has a great way of explaining things. And I think that she was on Ikadmel, wasn't she, Diggs? I think that that Ikadmel had her on, which is great, which I thought was great exposure for her. Because I know her audience would definitely enjoy her insight as well.
There's so many questions, and Peter is visiting us here in the Stream Center here at WFLA to help break that down. And I'll be tweeting out some more details about that in the hours ahead. So really hope that you'll be joining us for a two-stream kind
Thank
of
you,
day
Patricia
here
Sell.
at WFLA. Also,
I
before we
appreciate
go
you guys
into
being here.
some of
Thank
the
you.
particulars, some of the specifics, want to point out If you click on the link in the description on this video, it's actually in the pinned comment. Moderators, I'll ask you guys to help us out as far as sharing out the bit.ly link. We have our featured report today, an expert on what the Idaho murder suspect Bryan Kohberger wanted to see. If you click on the link, that bit.ly link, it'll take you over to WFLA.com for more on some fascinating observations by a expert that was interviewed for, again, our featured report. So you can click on the link. And again, as a reminder, you can always come back to the live stream. We're still at least 10, 15 minutes away from the actual feed coming in upon the conclusion of the court hearing in Moscow, Idaho. We're going to be bringing in News Nation's Robert Sherman here in just a moment. He just hopped on the Zoom call here, and he's going to be actually, you know what? Why don't we bring in Robert now? Let's say hi, everybody. News Nation's Robert Sherman joining us there on Zoom. Robert, where are you joining us from? I mean, you're of course still following very closely the Idaho story, the murders of the 4 University of Idaho students, but where are you joining us from? And good morning to you.
Good morning to you as well. Joining you from McAllen, Texas today. Just kind of been jetting around the country over the last couple of days. But
while these guys shoot the shit, I'm going to give you guys a little preview of something that I'm going to be talking about soon. There is another missing little girl who's missing out of Cyril, Oklahoma, and her name is Athena Brownfield, and she's 4 years old, and she has blonde hair, and she was last seen wearing a butterfly hoodie. The circumstances right now are really shaky. From what I understand, just a quick rundown of what I understand about it so far, because you guys know that I don't like to throw any shade on anyone until enough facts are in. Basically, her 5-year-old sister, was found wandering by a mailman, by a mail carrier, postal worker, and for some reason, it turns out that her sister was at one point with her and is now missing. Her 4-year-old sister. Now, my thing about that is I still haven't heard anything from the parents. I don't know any confirmed details about the parents. But something tells me there's something amiss with the parents, more or less. And I'm not saying that they're guilty of anything. I'm saying there's something strange regarding the parents, not your everyday situation, considering the fact that now the 5-year-old is in protective custody with the state, is not in either of the parents' custody right now. So the 5-year-old, she's safe, but Athena is still missing. And yet we have not heard anything from her parents or guardians. So I'm concerned about that. But again, I don't know the details. That doesn't mean for us to start throwing shade at the parents. It's just one of those circumstances that now this particular missing child, along with many others that have gotten my attention, the details in this case now have my attention. So as soon as I get a little bit more on that, I'm going to share a timeline and details on that and everything like that. With the pictures and descriptions and all that sort of thing. But I've got Cherry working on that for me right now. She showed me this last night, and so it now has my attention. What in the hell is going on with my phone? Okay. Yeah, I have that article. Thank you. But yes, as soon as I get a little bit more, then I'm going to do an entire live stream dedicated to Athena, which will probably be later on today. But I'm concerned, to say the least, regarding this case. So I guess I spilled coffee on my. Okay. Yeah, that's great. That's just great. All right. So let's listen to what these WFLA guys have to say in the meantime.
For everything has to be done very fastidiously from here on out. And we'll see what happens over the coming weeks and the coming months.
Yeah, Robert Sherman joining us again. Everybody, Robert Sherman, a correspondent for News Nation. I have to remind, we're always constantly engaging a new digital audience here on WFLA Now, and I have to always remind our audience every few minutes that we are waiting for the replay of the courtroom feed. So if you're just joining us and you're saying, hey, where is the actual court hearing itself? We are waiting for it to be legally allowed to be showed, and it will be from a replay, a refeed, if you will.
See, that's what makes me wonder if the trial is going to be
come our way. And the moment that it is,
that's what makes me wonder if the trial is going to be streamed and televised. I just don't know. Which absolutely concerns me.
Country, but every now and again, it's still very commonplace for what's happening inside of a courtroom to find its way out, whether it's somebody leaving the courtroom and passing along information. This isn't that big of a hearing for that really to happen because of how short this is going to be. Bryan might be, depending on if they're on schedule, Bryan Enton might be on the way out of the courtroom, as would other reporters be within the next several minutes, Robert. It could be that brief. And then, of course, we will have the replay of the feed itself.
Right. And I know that there are some people out there who get frustrated by the fact that we can't get a live stream from inside the courtroom or can't get live tweeting there. And I think the thing to keep in mind here is that, I mean, especially with a lot of these cases, I mean, let's remember that a gag order was put in place here in this case. I mean, with any one of these cases, you really have to take a few different things into account. One is ensuring that the defendant gets a fair trial and the prosecution is able to go through their processes without public information swirling, interfering with the legal process. You also have to take into account that at some point the public does have a right to know what happened. And then you also have to take into account the First Amendment and journalism and the freedom of press. So you have to weigh all of those different factors at play here in order to determine, what is the best way to navigate here. And this is what the conclusion has come to is that, yeah, I mean, we're all going to be able to see what happened inside that courtroom, what is said by Bryan Kohberger, his counsel, what witnesses say, but it's not going to be done live. It's going to be coming in after the fact.
And I agree with that 100%.
So, and as you said, JB, I mean, we're living in the past here in terms of, what's happening inside of that courtroom. We're going to learn after the fact.
Living in the past,
but that could be coming down any minute, could be another 10 minutes. It's just hard to know. It's hard to be certain as to what's going to come out of this today.
The moment that it pops up, folks, we'll be playing it back. We will be, of course, muting our audio and just listening in.
As long as we don't get
feed. So if that's what you're here
as long as we don't get another Daryl Brooks situation, like that was insane. That poor judge, man.
Hashtag AJB, can anything prevent this preliminary hearing from happening? And the answer is yes. The answer is that they can waive the rights of the preliminary hearing. And if they do that, I don't know what the odds are. And Robert, you can chime in here. The likelihood that they waive the preliminary hearing, I don't know if that's something that is all that likely. I guess it depends on the strategy here. But as I understand it, really anything is possible.
Right, exactly. And I think it's worth remembering that the status hearing that we have today was asked for by Bryan Kohberger's counsel. And I mean, then there's going to be a discussion today as to what the rest of this is going to look like. I mean, you said it right, JB, is that, I mean, a lot of this is legal strategy here. And Legal counsel is going to do what's best for their client, and that's what they're going to advocate for. So, I mean, this could be a nope, we're good, open and shut, kind of situation here. We'll see you in court, or this could be a bit more drawn out. There could be more.
Yeah, welcome from the Netherlands, Wim Lijbrink. Not sure if I'm saying your name right, but yeah, I think that's where Grizzly True Crime is. She's awesome too. Big fan of Grizzly. Alpha David, thank you so much. Whoa, man, we're living in the past, dude. Yeah, well, this channel is a big Bill and Ted. Big Bill and Ted fans here on the Glare.
Heard anything on that as far as how soon a trial could actually get underway in this case?
Well, I mean, you hit the nail on the head with your first point.
Just got to remember, if we don't do it, it's not going to happen, dude.
Bryan Kohberger could waive his right to a speedy trial, and then all of a sudden, you're looking at post 6 months from now before anything takes place. It's just hard to say. A lot of these questions are going to be answered probably within the next hour, potentially within the next couple of minutes. But I mean, that's a large part of what's going on today, is looking at those logistics of do exactly, when is this all going to be taking place?
I'm really glad to see this comment from Scioli 700.
I hate when this
JB,
happens,
Bryan
dude.
is innocent until proven guilty. We talk
like my cup is totally full, Like, I hate when this happens. My cup is totally full, and then I have like this much coffee left, and I don't want, you know what I mean? So I gotta and then I'm gonna end up moving my table. It's gonna spill all over my phone again, and I won't be able to work my phone because I gotta take the OtterBox off my phone. It's like, early morning problems, people. Early morning problems. Fuck my life.
I mean, there's different components. We've got forensics, digital forensics. We've got a possible suspect who possible witness who saw the suspect. There's the vehicle component, but really just how strong and how many holes can you poke in this arrest affidavit? There's been legal analysis left and right on various networks, Robert, but this is a big question ahead of trial.
Right. Of course, you have to remember the evidence standard that we're using here. I mean, this isn't tort law where you have a preponderance of evidence standard, which basically means you only need to be 51% sure that something was done here or not. You've got to prove this beyond reasonable doubt, and the burden of proof is on the prosecution. So, I mean, as we were saying, JB, and, of course, I'm not an attorney. I don't have a JD. This would be more best for one of your expert guests. But, I mean, you look at the list of evidence that's here, if one of these pieces falls through or something like that, all of a sudden, getting a conviction and getting to that beyond reasonable doubt threshold gets significantly more difficult. So there's still a long way to go here. And law enforcement has made very clear that their goal is to get a conviction. But I mean, as we all know, I mean, you've got to convict the right person, and every defendant is entitled to their day in court.
I love being trolled by educated people. It just always makes me feel honored. Ken's counseling couch. The Glare. Let's take a moment to remember the true heroes involved in getting this guy arrested. Betty and her team are amazing for doing their part to help the police and fun arrest this murderer. This murderer. No, Ken's counseling couch. No, not the true heroes. But yes, I love the sarcasm because actually, when this is over, we're gonna go over all of the ways that Betty was just fucking wrong.
Details and
which is like every way.
Line 6 on page 4 or line 4 on page 6. But let's just kind of go over really quickly the recap of some of the key discoveries in the probable cause affidavit. We really knew that there were going to be several components. We knew that there was going to be, to an extent of some kind, that there was going to be some forensic component. We had, of course, inkling that there was going to be digital forensics that was going to be part of it as well. And we knew that the vehicle was also going to be part of this process because it was so integral for police to actually track down Bryan Kohberger. The big surprise to all of us was the fact that DM, one of the surviving roommates inside of the house, saw a figure clad in black walk right past her, wearing a mask covering the nose and the mouth, and leave through the back sliding glass door. That was the big reveal, if you will, of the probable cause affidavit.
Welcome,
that
Candy,
really nobody saw that coming.
No, nobody did. I mean, especially since the guidance that we were given since the beginning was that all of this took place in the victim's sleep, and that it was just really like like two surviving roommates woke up to see the carnage that was left behind. And now you get this information that comes out about a roommate seeing somebody inside of the home, and the chilling details and the way that she was described as effectively being petrified and scared into not being able to move in that moment, really shed some light on how scary of a situation this was. Naturally, JB, I'm sure that everyone who is watching right now and just about everybody on Twitter is still asking the same question. Why was there that long gap between the moment in which the roommate saw the person inside of the home and then calling 911 about 7-8 hours later? And I wish that I could look into a crystal ball and I could tell you what was going on inside that one survivor's head. We cannot. And, it's speculating at this point doesn't really do much good for anybody. In all likelihood, that roommate is going to have to enter some testimony into this case. That's what you would think, that at some point that roommate, assuming this goes all the way to trial, that roommate would be asked to take the stand at some point, because that is such a key piece of evidence that we have here in this case. So, I mean, it stands to reason that we're going to get all that information at some point. I mean, I think that the thing that I would say is that I think I said this on the show last time. Let's hold off on guessing at, that roommate's mindset and, criticizing that person for their actions. Because one, I mean, very few of us have ever been in that situation before. We don't know what we would do there. And two, we don't really know the situation.
How about nobody's been in that situation before?
Let's let the legal process play out here.
Yes.
Let's see what happens over the coming weeks and coming months before passing judgment.
Exactly.
And then
now, just a quick little interjection here. Now, January 12th, 2023, there's the Manatee County Commissioner meeting is live right now. But Betty has not spoken yet. I just kind of thumbed through it. But it's live right now. So I've got that on the back burner here too. So while we wait for the results of this thing here, I'll just continue to play this. And then we'll go over that to see if Betty spoke up at this county commissioner meeting or if she slept in her blanket of shame.
Preliminary hearing, no bail.
Okay.
That's the guidance we've been given.
Okay. So that's a major development, waiving his right to a speedy preliminary hearing. So is he waiving the right? Oh, no, I'm sorry. Bryan, he just tweeted out, Bryan Kohberger's preliminary hearing has been set for June 26th.
Wow.
At 9 a.m. Waiving his right to a speedy preliminary hearing. My goodness. I mean, that is waiving your right to a speedy preliminary hearing is something.
It's a stall tactic.
But that is 6 months.
Is what it is.
That's 6 months. That's 6 months. And, with a preliminary hearing coming, that's when we're going to learn some more of these details and more than likely have some of these burning questions answered. But that's 6 months from now. That's a long time. That's a long time. And especially considering, of course, justice for the victims is always, the number one priority here. And, informing
so that's
the
just
public
fucking
of what
fantastic. So we're not going to hear a plea from this dipshit until June, which makes sense to me because usually these people just stall as much as they can. So a way to stall the inevitable is to waive your right to a speedy preliminary hearing. So So 6 months from now, this dude is going to be, I'm going to guess, pleading guilty. I think the plan right now is to plead guilty and hoping that his defense can come up with some way to fight these charges. If he thinks that his defense can actually do something to get him off, then he has 6 months for them to work on it. So I'm not surprised that he waived that right at all. Yeah, good point, Ken's Counseling Couch. Ken's Counseling Couch is saying, I disagree with the news guy. Justice for the victims is second priority. Agreed. The first priority is always to protect the rights of the accused. If you don't, it risks the entire case of failing. True, but if we're going to split hairs, Ken, I'm going to say that kind of just goes hand in hand with the justice for the victims. I mean, in order to ensure the justice for the victims, well, then you have to make sure that you're not violating the rights of the accused. It's kind of a chess game, more or less. It's one hand washes the other, more or less. One thing leading to the next. So yes, in order to get that justice for the victims, if the priority is justice for the victims, if the first priority is that, well, then you have to also protect the rights of the accused so that they can't claim a mistrial or claim that their rights are violated and get an acquittal in some way, shape, or form on some bullshit technicality. So we agree, but we don't agree.
Okay, stand by. All right, sorry, folks. I was just being communicated to in my ear that there will be feeds coming down here momentarily. Robert, if you can kind of take things over here for a second as I talk with our feeds, folks. Lawyers need to prepare for the trial, but 6 months is too long. I think a lot of folks are saying that online at the moment.
Right. And again, yeah,
but it doesn't matter
back to,
what you
how
think.
does this process carry forward?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I understand, a lot of people feeling that way here, but I mean, there are, criminal cases, which last years in the legal system. I mean, it's not totally uncommon for something like this to happen. And again, it's the, which factor is the most important here? Because there's several that you do have to weigh here. I mean, there are a lot of people who want justice swiftly. I mean, that's something that has to be considered. The public has a right to know and to be informed at some point. That's something to be considered. But it's also due process for a defendant. That's something that has to be considered. So how do you weigh all of these different factors here is in many cases how all of this ends up shaking out. And, exactly, we're going to learn momentarily exactly how this date was arrived upon and what the back and forth was like in the courtroom. As the folks over there figure out, the feed situation. But I mean, surely we're going to be getting more information on this rather momentarily. I mean, there's just a lot to consider. There's a lot to consider in any one of these processes. And, as we get forward here over the next few months, I mean, surely that's going to be tough for these families in order to think about, how long it's going to take for them to serve justice. But I mean, you look on the other hand as well. Bryan Kohberger is not being offered bail. So I mean, he's going to be sitting in jail for those 6 months, waiting for this case to come up as well. So I mean, this is going to be a long time. This is going to be long and drawn out until we get to that preliminary hearing process.
We are moments away from the feed coming in. I actually tapped into a second feed that might come in first here in the Stream Center. So monitoring 2 separate feeds coming through on different technologies. The moment it's available, we're going to have it here live in the WFLA Now Stream Center. So we're going to be monitoring your comments here.
Yeah, Mad Catter, you're making a good point, Mad Catter.
Afterwards, we're going to be answering.
Mad Catter is saying that, he's still in jail. Don't see bail being a thing. Bail's not a thing. Bail's not a thing. That's already established. Bail is already not a thing. So wait it out. But there is the issue with the families getting their closure. you know. So now they've got 6 months to wait to see if this is going to even go to trial or not. So that's very, very sad, you know, like, so they got to sit there for 6 months and wonder if they're going to get justice.
Here at the screen that they're using to feed that back. So quite literally, we are waiting on somebody to hit the play button. And they also might have stopped because, and this is what will happen so oftentimes with live feeds.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, Ken. That
somebody says they're not ready, that they're not recording.
It gives them time to build their case, like you're saying here, which is what I was saying as well. But also, like you're saying here, it gives them time for at least 2 or 3 psych evals to determine if he's fit to stand trial, which he'll definitely try to do. He'll definitely try to plead insanity at some point. They always try to plead insanity, these people. All right, so here's the feed. This is not live, but, well, they're having boomer moments
and
there.
again, appears some difficulties with the feed. This is going out to all stations right now, so all outlets. So if you're watching on a different live stream, you'll be seeing the same.
Oh, okay, yes.
Screen.
Good point. Yeah, so Ken, I don't know if you know that, but this has been brought up before. My chat's just confirming it, is that there's no insanity, that you can't plead insanity in the state of Idaho. So that's not even on the table. Like, now I don't know if being fit to stand trial is any different than an insanity plea. I don't know. But I don't know if those are different things, but yeah, he can't plead insanity in Idaho. Hey, what's up, guys? Linda Cares, thank you for being here. I'm glad you're here.
Right, good morning. We are on the record. This is cause number CR 29222805. This is State of Idaho versus Bryan Kohberger. Mr. Kohberger is in custody. He is appearing here in court with his attorneys, Ms. Taylor, Mr. Logston, Mr. Thompson, Ms. Jennings appearing on behalf of the state. This is the time set in the matter for the preliminary hearing status conference. So I am going to inquire of counsel. Ms. Taylor, what's the status at this time?
Thank you, Your Honor. We are going to ask the court to set preliminary hearing out into June. We would request the 3rd or 4th week of June and probably 4 or 5 days for preliminary hearing. Mr. Kohberger understands his right to a timely preliminary hearing, and he's willing to waive the timeliness to allow us time to obtain discovery in this case and be prepared.
And Mr. Thompson, are you in agreement with that?
The state has no objection to that, Your Honor. Ms. Taylor reached out to us by email yesterday with her proposal. On reflection, the state's calendar would be better in the month of July, but we will make the end of June work if that's what works.
I love this guy.
And I haven't had a chance to talk to Ms. Taylor about that. I'm sorry, I know that's last minute.
That's okay. The court's calendar is going to be better towards the end of June, early July. So would that work, Ms. Taylor, for your scheduling on your other matters?
Your Honor, yes. If we take that 4th week in June, that's actually best.
Okay. So, Mr. Kohberger, I need to speak to you for a moment then. Sir, you do understand, and Ms. Taylor has represented here, that she's advised you of your right to have or fully discussed with you the right that you have, which is to have your preliminary hearing within 14 days of the date that you initially appeared before this court. As you recall, when I advised you of your rights, that hearing is a probable
What are those
cause
scratches on his
where the
face?
state has to establish that more likely than not, these felony offenses were committed and you were the one that committed the felony offenses. If you waive your right to a speedy preliminary hearing, it does not mean that you're giving up your right to have a preliminary hearing. It simply means that you would not be able to come back and challenge that the state did not present probable cause within 14 days. Do you understand?
Yes.
Have you had enough time to speak with Ms. Taylor about your decision to waive your right to a speedy preliminary hearing?
Yes.
Do you need any additional time to do so?
No.
Then I will ask at this time, as to the 5 counts, felony counts that were charged in the criminal complaint that was filed on December 29th of 2022, are you waiving your right to a speedy preliminary hearing and agreeing that that hearing can be held outside the 14-day period?
Yes.
And Ms. Taylor, do you concur with his waiver?
I do, Your Honor. Thank you.
I will find your waiver of speedy preliminary hearing is knowing, intelligently, voluntarily entered here in open court with the assistance of counsel. We will go ahead and set the matter for preliminary hearing.
Yeah, I'm going to address
Monday,
Ken's comment once this is
June
over.
26th
It's over 6
at
months away.
9:00 a.m. And I will go ahead and reserve the week, so June 26th to June 30th, in the event that we need all 5 days for presentation of evidence. And just so council knows, it will begin at 9 a.m. each of those days. Is there anything further to address at this time in the case, Mr. Thompson?
Not from the state's perspective, Your Honor, no.
All right. Or Ms. Taylor?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Kohberger, then you will be remanded into custody on your same no bail at this point in time, pending further
No bail.
proceedings. Again, we'll send notice out to council, and we will be in recess for this morning.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Edward Moskowitz. I don't know what truth and tea is. I don't know what that is. I wish I could help you. I just don't know what that is.
Breaking news on WFLA Now.
All right. So basically, yeah, he's waived his right to a speedy preliminary hearing. And that was deliberately done on by his counsel. Oh, Truth and Transparency. I'll have to check that out. I get a lot of messages about Truth and Transparency. I'll have to check them out. But yeah, there's I get a lot of I guess requests on some tragedy pimping channels. So I'll check them out. Now, yeah, basically what we're seeing here is his counsel basically waived his right for a waived his right for a speedy preliminary trial or preliminary hearing so that they can prepare and get and have discovery. So basically they want to prepare for their case. So people saying that's just a sign that he's going to end up pleading guilty doesn't sound like that to me based on what they just said. So we're probably going to be looking at a trial, people. And I'm not happy about that because I'd like him to just admit to what he did, plead guilty, and the family can get closure as quick as possible and move on. The families, plural. So I'd like to see that happen. And yeah, I saw some scratches on his face. One of them did not look like it came from a razor. One of them looked like it did. Another one that was like right along the bottom of his right here. I don't know, but that could have been anything. That could have been, anything. Who knows? no, I mean his defense. His defense wants to delay the preliminary hearing. No, I didn't. That didn't look like acne to me either. But yeah, Ken was saying something here. Yeah, so Ken was saying, also remember, we don't have the entire story yet. There could be pre-existing mental illness that contributed significantly to the murders, and even being in a graduation program could still be at play. I mean, that's reaching if the defense is going to use that he was in a graduation program. If anything, that graduation program could be used as motive to some degree, arguably. Now, the pre-existing mental illness that we know of so far, which from my understanding was self-diagnosed, and it was snow vision or something like that, something to do with which from my understanding is common with heroin use. There's rumors that he had a heroin addiction in his younger days. And Dr. Edward Moskowitz, thank you again. Thank you. I'm worst shit detector. I cannot tell. Like I said, I'll check it out. Thank you. But yeah, I don't know. But I mean, I'm assuming that if that mental health issue is what he's going to use as some sort of defense, and it's brought on by him choosing in his adult life to be a heroin addict, well, that's on him. That's his own bad. I don't see how that's even going to be a defense. But yeah, it's just not looking like Ken. It's just not looking like there's a lot of stuff working in his favor. I think obviously his defense is going to go the classic route, which is just to try to put up a whole bunch of smoke and mirrors for the jury and cause some confusion so that it'll create some doubt in at least one juror. So I think that's going to be their strategy, is just to try to just confuse the jury as much as possible and create doubt. But I don't think that. But it looks like the prosecution has a good case against him. So, So I'm trying to find here. Let me scan this a little bit here. And I'm not seeing anything. I don't see why she would even be here for this. This is like zoning and planning. What I'm looking at. So I don't know if we're going to see a whole lot of Karening coming from old Betty at this town meeting. It doesn't look like there's going to be, because I just don't see her speaking up here. Like, I'm scanning through it here and I'm not seeing anything. So, but I'll leave it up just in case, like in my background, to where I could see it and find out if anything does come up of it. But yeah, let's hear what these guys have.
The defense has asked for all this to take place. Again, I don't mean to overstate my credentials here. I do not have a JD. I am not an attorney. You know, I've sat in on a number of these cases before, and all I can tell you is that everything is done for a reason, and everything is done meticulously. And I'm surely we're going to be getting more information about that. But I mean, yeah, I mean, you're looking at a June timeline until you start to get some of these questions answered here in this case. And, you know, I mean, you look at this gag order that has been in place, you know, that's going to be a long time in order to hold over this gag order from both sides. Nobody's allowed to talk about the case. it's going to be a long time until a lot of people are going to get the answers that.
But what's great is there are
talking to some people.
There are some media outlets that have been debunking all of this. What's really funny is so far, like so far, you have Strangler Betty who has said that she presents this phone call or this recording, not a phone call, but a recording. The recording's already been debunked. She took that video down. On top of that, there's she's saying that that it was Bryan's sister that was photographing in front of the house. That was not Bryan's sister. She also stated, and then JLR tried to say that that was Bryan at the vigil. That was not Bryan. All of which has been debunked so far. And it's really funny. And so she was bragging, which I found really funny. We'll go over some of that bragging here for a second. So her community post is just blasting. Like she's just lashing out here. It's really funny. And this is what happens. People start kicking and screaming as they're going down. It's very common. And so people like Burnt Toast was saying how she's losing viewers and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, no, look, it appears viewership is low. It is not. I realize that there are many factless hate channels stating somehow I've lost support. We all know that that couldn't be further from the truth. Facts aren't those channels' strong suit. Actually, it is. With that said, here is information readily available on YouTube's Creator Studio. So they knew this information before the BS campaign. When will you get tired of being lied to on a continuous basis? Quit supporting the hate. Move to trusted creators that focus on victims and not hate of others on other channels. I am going to be making new shirts that will have my logo and paying haters bills since 2021. Ridiculous. Absolutely asinine, which I find really funny. Because yeah, full on lolcow rant, Petty Patty. Absolutely. I find this really funny because she's just using the fact that YouTube had put out a thing because people were losing viewership, but she's definitely losing viewership and she is definitely getting a lot of hate. I will elaborate on that shortly, but she goes on here, which is really funny here. She goes on here saying, I keep wondering what these hate channels would do without me, laughing my ass off. Seriously, I've literally been your content for a solid year. I'm curious how much money I made all you haters. I guarantee a hell of a lot more than me. Facts are facts. Actually, that's not true. I've done pretty well, though. Thank you. Thank you for being a fucking idiot. But she goes on and she edited this. She goes on to say, we acquire over 1,000 new subscribers every 28 days. That is why this channel is thriving while other channels, hate channels, barely have any movement in sub count. So who really is losing viewership and who isn't? Thank you all for your love and support. We are going to be crossing over 25K soon. I am only a little over a year old, so these creators that talk crap are so jealous, and they have met their cap, have been on here for years. They are stale, and mine keeps growing and growing and growing. Look at all the channel has accomplished over the last year, and they still talking about the same old crap. Me. So she contradicts herself here, which is really funny. That has to be so boring. And what have they accomplished? Absolutely nothing. I am still here. Must piss you slap off. I don't know what that even means. But I find this really funny because she contradicts herself. She's like, you guys are making much more money than I am. And over here, she's like, I'm thriving more than you guys are. But then it just gets even funnier because because sorry, give me a second here. Because our friend on the Glarer here, Burnt Toast, she managed to keep up with these things in her community posts, which is pretty funny. And we already went over that, but there's this. This is where these Petty Patty welcome. This is where she two different shorts by Court TV where they debunk her bullshit, which is really funny. Now, this doesn't have what I'm looking for, though. Let me try this. Now, maybe, okay, hold on. Let me try this. Okay. Yeah. I want you guys to take a look at how much Betty is thriving. Okay. Now, she technically is, but she's not loved the way that she believes that she is, because if you look closely here, her last stream, Burt Toast went and took it upon herself to download or use a particular app that shows dislikes. And as you can see, she's got 26,000 views on her last stream. And there are literally more than double. Well, no, not more than double, but there are there's 3.2 thousand dislikes versus her 1.9. That means people went out of their way to dislike her videos. Like, her likes for this is pathetic, but her dislikes speaks volumes. 3.2 thousand dislikes on her last video. I mean, think about that. Think about that. Like, that's all hate. Like, so what she should be doing is thanking the haters, because I don't hate her. I don't consider myself to be part of that, to be lumped up in that. I don't hate her at all. As long as she keeps acting stupid, I'm going to have content. And what's great is, and I don't mind moving on to other content once everything has been affected. Because what's happening now is everything that she's been sitting here, all this bullshit, this infamy that she's created for herself, has gotten the attention of larger creators, and it's gotten the attention of some mainstream media. And so the way the mainstream media has started to deal with it, instead of giving her clout, the clout that she's looking for, they just decided to not so subtly debunk specifically the things that she's been focusing on as far as spreading misinformation. And all of that stuff has been debunked. I find that really, really interesting. And I'll go over some of that in some detail. And this, like I said, is courtesy of Burnt Toast. She posted these shorts. hold on a second. So
some audio from the crime scene on the night of those murders. What do we know about that?
That's right. If anyone has been following this case closely, especially online and social media, TikTok, Facebook, you probably noticed a viral post, multiple viral posts regarding alleged audio. Remember in the affidavit, it says at 4:17 a.m., the neighbors to my left here have a surveillance video camera that picked up audio from Xana Kernodle's room about 50 feet away. About 4:17, hearing the dog begin to bark, hearing a loud thud and what sounded like either whispers or whimpering at around 4:17 during the time of the murders. So circulating online are posts like the ones you see on the screen of this alleged audio of that surveillance video here. And so being on the ground, I spoke with the neighbors here. Paul's going to pan over here how close this.
Now I know, Chanley, there was also a
I love
viral
it.
post going around
I
about
love it.
some audio from the crime scene on the night of those.
Remember in the affidavit, it says at 4:17, the neighbors to my left here have a surveillance video camera that picked up audio from Xana Kernodle's room about 50 feet away. About 4:17, hearing the dog begin to bark, hearing a loud thud and what sounded like either whispers or whimpering at around 4:17 during the time of the murders.
Now I played this
So,
before, but
circulating online are posts like the ones you see on the screen of this alleged audio of that.
so yeah, all of this has been debunked, which I think is fucking hilarious. Everything that this woman puts out has been debunked. Everything. So I don't know why she continues to like act like she's doing God's work. And she's that clueless. She's absolutely that clueless. Now, I haven't gone over this.
So, anyways, it makes me wonder. Just let me know. Okay. I'll have to get back to you, Karen, on that. I just got your message.
What a shocker.
Anyways,
She's got somebody in a chat named Karen.
Wonder about this whole mental illness thing, and is he mentally ill? Honestly, I believe there are just evil people in this world that don't need to have a mental illness associated with them. I don't think being a psychopath and being, like schizophrenia to me is a mental illness. Being delusional,
Is it?
being in your fantasy world.
Oh,
some of that is of his own doing.
Oh, really, Betty?
He used to be normal. And then there were what? Drugs. Major change in his life, major change in his behavior, majorly angry. He was displaced. He was trying to fit in. He didn't know who he was. That, to me, I think we need to figure out what mental illness is for ourselves to describe whether this guy was mentally ill. I truly believe he's got problems. But how much of those problems did he cause for himself, and how much of those problems are caused because of his brain? Those are the questions that I'd like to know. A person that sits and plots, if we were to apply the same standard, because he's a mass murderer, if we were to apply the same standard to everyone else, no one would be in jail for murder because they would all be mentally ill. And I don't believe everybody is mentally ill that kills people. I believe there is true evil that runs through the veins of the United States of America. The great thing about the YouTube platform is that this is worldwide. We have people from all over the world that tunes in to these shows all over the world. So we're hearing from people around the globe talking about their communities, talking about their countries. And a lot of these countries do not have the problem that the United States does.
Wow.
So my question is, what are your thoughts? Do you believe that this man is mentally ill, or do you believe this man is just evil? For me, I believe this man is just evil. I don't believe that there's any help for him. I don't believe that the thing with mental illness is if, of course, this is what we're preconditioned to. But for our mental illness, what is mental illness to us? Mental illness that we've been preconditioned to is telling us that these people have to be mentally deranged to do evil acts, and I do not believe that, and I think that's a horrible precedent to be putting into people's mind.
Nobody
We
says
as
that.
human beings are very curious in nature. We're very curious. We want to know what makes things work. That's what engineers are for, right? They sit down, they take things out, they put the screws, they put the bolts, they do this, they do that, right? That's that they put all this stuff together.
Yeah, that's what engineers do. Engineers break down mental illness. That's what an engineer does, Betty. Good job. Was that justice? Thank you. Because other countries have universal health care. Just a thought. Yeah, that's a good point. That is somewhat of a good point. Yeah, I agree. Thank you so much.
But we try to figure things out. I mean, that's what the whole true crime
Did she go
genre
live this
here
morning?
is
I didn't
on
see that.
YouTube. We bring a case to you. We dive into the case. We look at all the facts. We speculate. We have conjecture. We go up through all this stuff with a fine-tooth comb, and everybody has different opinions, different speculation. But for this topic, Ken, I want to know from the audience, and I'm going to open the phone lines up here in about 2 seconds. Don't start calling yet. It's turned off right now at the moment.
So
but do you think this guy is evil? Or do you think he seriously has something wrong with him? We know in Idaho, there is no insanity plea. Do you believe, and not only that, but let me get back to what I was saying. For him, the reason why I think he's evil and not mentally ill is because mentally ill people can take medication and help with their symptoms.
Let me do
a deranged person.
I mean,
that's not sick in the head. He's sick in the heart. He's sick in the mind.
Let me give her a
but
thumbs
not
up.
mentally.
I'm gonna help you out, Betty.
He's evil. Can't be fixed by medication.
I gave Betty a thumbs
up. He can't be fixed by going and doing a 10-year
Why
stint
not?
because
Fuck
as soon as he's
you
out,
know what I mean? Like she needs it
again.
She needs a thumbs up.
So I'm opening up the phone lines. I am not going to spend too much time talking about my thoughts and my theories on this because I know what my thoughts and theories are on this. I know how I feel about this. I believe this man is pure evil. Nobody can convince me otherwise. I don't think there's anything wrong with his brain.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I think he's a pretty smart, clever man. And it's hard to be a smart.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if 4 mental health experts come forward, right? It doesn't matter if 4 mental health experts come forward and have the same diagnosis of this dude and another like neurologist or whatever the fuck, somebody who studies the brain finds a fucking tumor in his brain via CAT scan. Doesn't matter any of that shit. She's convinced and you're not going to change her mind. That's the type of thinking that we're dealing with here.
Be a smart, clever man when you have mental illness wreaking havoc on your body. When I was depressed, when I had to take, I don't know, well, I don't want to get into too much of my personal background, but there was a time, there was an event in my life and they had to put me on Prozac. It was a very serious event. But I was put on Prozac for 6 months.
Which doesn't
to
mix
help
well with
those
cocaine, by
things,
the way.
because it was only a situational problem. I don't even know if it helped, you know, to be honest with you, because it was an emotional issue, not a brain issue. But to be honest with you, it was an
emotional issue, not a brain issue.
It's weird to try to think that this man can go into a home.
Oh, she's not live right now, Patricia Sell.
Sit there and people are alleging that he has to be mentally ill, and nobody is really alleging on here that this man is pure evil. So anyways, I digress. I want to hear what my audience has to say about this particular topic. What do you think his diagnosis? Now, let
me explain real quick. Yeah, let me ask a bunch of idiots in my chat what your diagnosis is of this guy, right? That's a great way to go about things there, Betty. Why? The reason why, Betty, that nobody is just straight up saying this man is pure evil and that's it, is because intelligent people who think critically, intelligent people who actually want to try to understand something, they're not going to just be immediately dismissive like that. Now, me personally, now here's the thing is I have my opinions. I actually agree with her in the sense that sometimes people do shit just because they're bad, shitty people. And sometimes people do shit because they are mentally ill. I don't know enough about this guy yet. That stuff's going to come out in trial. But I don't know enough about this guy to jump to the conclusion that he did this because he's pure evil. Now, my theory is that, you know, I have a theory that he's just somebody who had a want and a need to commit murder. And he became, or he studied criminology in order to hopefully get away with it. That's my theory. That's what I believe. But that's just a theory. That's not me going, that's it and that's how it is. You know, I'm not an expert. I don't have that type of education. You know, it's just a very uneducated theory. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, this is how it is, and you're not going to tell me any different. That's insane. And the reason why educated, smart, or even people with common sense like me who aren't educated are not going to jump to that conclusion. They're not going to just say, hey, he's evil, fuck him, because it's dismissive. It's dismissive. People who want to try to understand aren't going to be so quick to be dismissive. They want to understand. This is why we follow cases like this. It's because we want to understand why these things happen, why these things happen in our society.
If you do believe he's mentally ill and not just evil, what kind of diagnosis do you think he has? I'm curious. I mean, this is all speculative in nature. This is not a fact-finding mission of any grand scale.
But nobody's going to be able to tell you any different, though, right?
This is why I put it for,
members only.
Members only. Right. But we're going to go ahead. We've opened it up to subscribers only because I forgot to.
This is why I put it behind a fucking paywall. But she thought that she was setting it to members only, to where only members could actually view it. No, only members can comment in your chat. But this is why I put it behind a paywall, because I want a bunch of fucking idiots who think they know everything to come and give me a diagnosis.
Set my settings on here, so I apologize. But the next one I will make sure is on members only. I do apologize about that again. So I'm opening up the phone lines now. Let me turn them on, and I just want to hear from you. You know, we have almost 500 people in the chat. Don't forget to thumbs up this segment up. But curious, phones are now. Oh, I guess you guys need the phone number. I guess somebody has it.
Yeah, and she set it to subscribers only. This is why. The only reason she set it to subscribers only from members only is because she was only getting 500 people in her chat against her usual 900 to 1,000 people. So she was like, oops, I'm not getting enough people in here. I'm not getting enough, a big enough number in my chat to be able to delude myself that people actually fucking like me.
This is Betty.
Morning. It's about time I got to talk to you.
Well, hello, Ruby.
How are you?
I'm actually doing better. That's what I was going to say, because I was kind of, to be honest with you, I wasn't expecting this live. I thought I moved it, so I'm kind of a little scatterbrained right now. But it has to do with the fact, I had a lot of stuff kind of fall on my plate in the last day or two. I'm having new internet service put into the house. They're running new wires, all this stuff. This is going to be happening. I've got the estimates for the roof coming. I need a full roof replacement. So, hey, all haters that try to tell everybody I have no roof issues from Hurricane Ian, please explain to me why I have to get a new roof put on my house when I just had my roof installed in 2018. Just wanting to throw that out there.
Because you're an idiot.
Yeah, well, they don't know what they're talking about. I knew that you had rescheduled it, but I didn't even remember that it was today until it popped up.
I know.
30 minutes, and I was like, oh, wow, okay.
Well, we should just be thankful that I didn't turn my phone off and wasn't sitting in bed watching Christmas movies.
Y'all are killing me in the chat. Why would you be watching Christmas movies?
I've commented to you and Molly both to get y'all some emergency powder.
I don't know if that would help with my allergies, though, because that was allergies. What it was, This is kind of disgusting, guys. It's going to be TMI. If you guys got a weak stomach.
Emergency is, first of all, a total placebo. Like, it's got like some vitamin C in it, and that's all it is. It doesn't do shit. It's a total placebo. Like, there's no cure for the common cold. Okay, there's no real treatment for it. Like, you can either knock yourself out with NyQuil and just sleep through it. But the only true treatment for the common cold is to drink lots of fluid. That's why people tell you to drink soup. It's not because chicken soup has this. It's a comfort food, okay? Like chicken soup, it's not like it has this magical, component to it that makes you feel all better. No, it's liquid. So it makes you piss. So when you're eating and drinking, you're basically creating a system to where you're going to piss the cold out of your system as fast as possible. That's all that is. That's all that is. That's why they tell you to drink lots of fluid and get lots of rest. You drink lots of fluid so that you can piss the shit out of your system. And then you get lots of rest so that you can allow your immune system to work. That's it. That's it. Like, knock yourself out for 24 hours and drink as much fluid as you can. Like water that's going to make you piss. Water's the best thing you can drink. Water's the best thing you can drink when you're sick. And so if you're going to eat something, it's recommended that you eat soup, like I said, because it's liquid and it's just going to help you flush your system out more. That's it. It's not like there's no magic old wives potion.
Stomach, you might want to turn the volume off for about, 120 seconds. Count to 120. But what it was is I had fallen asleep, and I think I either snored or it was the dry air. Well, the reason why my throat was hurting is because there was a ball of hard snot that needed to come out. I didn't realize that. Remember, I was all stuffy and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Well, once that disgusting thing kind of passed, everything.
Riveting true crime content,
pain went
guys.
away. My sinuses cleared up. I mean, it was literally clogged. I had some sinus issues, but it wasn't an illness at all. I didn't even blow out snot. Like, it was all clear. I mean, like, there was nothing, but I felt bad because I
didn't break up my Coke enough, and fucking a big rock got fucking stuck right there in my fucking septum.
lack of sleep. I wasn't sleeping well. My body was aching for some reason, and it was just for that day. And I even had cramps while I was on my live, like going up my back. So it was, I think it was a combination of the cold weather and my back problems causing me pain. So it was making me toss
You're in
and turn
Florida.
in addition with the
that
dry
big,
air.
that big change in weather going from Florida to Idaho, and it got cold, real cold in Florida,
That was
more
weeks
than
ago.
colder than you're used to. Then you went to Idaho, and then you came back to warmer weather in Florida, and no wonder you didn't get sicker than what you have.
Yeah, and
But,
actually, my
that
allergies,
emergency
in all fairness,
network
could
really-
have. Yeah, but my allergies, in all fairness, they could have started in Idaho because they have different weather, different things like pollens and stuff, and it could have started there. I just didn't notice it because I was so busy. But it sure caught up with.
Idaho was covered in snow, guy. What are you talking about? Pollen? Like, you're months from the pollen. Like, that's not happening right now. That's a seasonal thing. Like, there's no pollen when everything's covered in snow. What the fuck are you talking about?
Caught up with me when I got home.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to talk about the whole, Bryan having mental illness, because this is a topic that I can speak a lot on, that
Right.
I'm very educated in. I have suffered from mental illness for most of my life, clinical depression.
Yeah. Okay. So she's very educated in mental illness because she suffers from it. Okay.
And anxiety, and gone through some other different like side effect things that happened, that one thing triggered another thing at different points in my life. But Bryan, I think, suffered from clinical depression. I mean, his feelings of worthlessness and not fitting in and being bullied, and
He was the bully.
despair,
What are you talking
and
about?
just having, no feelings and things like
See,
that.
this is the type of audience that she has. Okay. See, I love that I have an audience that if I misspeak, my audience is going to correct me in my chat. That is my favorite thing about having a chat is I have people that I can reference to, because I actually attract a semi-intelligent audience, if not a much more intelligent audience than myself. And I'm very, very grateful for that. So whenever I fuck up, somebody's going to be there and be like, you know what? Wait a minute. Nope. That's actually not true. And I love that, because I like to learn. I prefer to learn rather than act like I know everything. You know what I mean? So here is this person who's now claiming to be an expert on mental illness because she suffered from mental illness. And she doesn't have any of the facts straight, because basically the accounts that we're getting is that this dude was the bully. Like, he was the bully, putting people in chokeholds and things of that nature. I mean, and the thing is everybody gets bullied to a certain degree when you're a kid. It's also a rite of passage. I'm not pro bullying. I don't think that that's okay, but it does happen. It does happen. If you're a kid, there's always somebody who's going to pick on you to some degree. They're going to make you feel lower. Girls get it worse than anybody else, because there's always a clique of girls that think that they're better than everybody, and they're going through their insecurities, and they decide to just passive aggressively pass on their insecurities and take them out on somebody that they think they should be taking it out on. Like in middle school, that shit is fucking terrible. I watched girls get bullied all the time, and I was just like, man, you motherfuckers are vicious. But I've been bullied. I don't know anybody who's never been bullied, at least at some point in their life, but they don't use it as an excuse to go around and bully other people and then kill people when they become grown adults. It's ridiculous.
like that. I do think that he suffered from clinical depression, maybe some bipolar disorder or personality disorder. I'm not talking about multiple.
She's just naming a list of what she's been
disorder.
diagnosed with.
I'm talking about just regular borderline personality disorder, which is completely different. But when you have borderline personality disorder, you will suffer from homicidal ideation and taking your own life ideation. And apparently he did suffer from some, desperate feelings of despair and, loneliness and emptiness and all that kind of stuff. And that he did suffer, some from taking his own life ideation, but then something triggered in him. And I think from what I've looked into,
which is nothing,
about things that he posted back in high school and stuff online, is that when he went through this change in high school, when he lost all that weight, and then even the kids at school have said he came back a completely different person.
Yes, it was a
And even
major
became a
change
bully himself.
from the junior year to the senior year. Apparently, he had this major change.
See, this is the
and he-
overthinking of bullshit that like really gets on my nerves. Like, you don't know anything. Like, first of all, it's just that generation, man. They're gonna post shit and they're gonna post whatever to get negative attention, to get positive attention. Feel sorry for me. They're gonna sad fish online because they're feeling sorry for themselves, and that's just a very common thing to do. At no, to sit there and overthink it and be like, oh well, this person, this, and that. This is what they were struggling with, and this is what they were suffering from, and blah 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 blah. I mean, that's just excuses as far as I'm concerned. That's just excuses, because if you grow up, and then you decide to kill 4 people and you tried to plan it, well, sorry, that's not an excuse. It's not an excuse in the slightest bit. It just blows my mind that people just sit there and they try to act like, oh, well, let me break down what this person was feeling and what he was going through and blah, 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 and how it led him to this and led him to that. Dude, first of all, I know a guy, right? I went to high school. I remember my first year of high school. I was sort of kind of friends with this guy, and he was really overweight. School lets out, summer comes along. This dude comes back in the fall the next year, and he's skinny as hell. Looks great, right? Now, some people picked on him for being fat, but I mean, the people who did, they were usually his friends, and it was out of love. But those same people, when he came back skinny, because he spent the entire summer basically dieting and running. That's what he did. He decided to cut out sweets, and he started to eat healthy, and he was running. He just jogged all summer. That's how he spent his summer. And then he came back looking great, right? And those same people that joked with him about being fat ate their words, for lack of a better term. And they were actually the same time that because they were his friends, they were also just as much praising him as they did kind of make jokes about him being overweight. They praised him for the progress that he made. And his confidence was boosted like that. And just recently, the same thing happened. I'm still friends with this guy. I know this guy very well. I'm still friends with this guy. And recently, in the last year or so, he did the same exact thing. Started lifting weights, running. He got overweight. He got married. He got comfortable, and he got overweight again. But then he decided, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start lifting weights. I'm going to start running. I'm going to start eating right. And then he did that. And now, he gets the same love all over Facebook. Now everybody's like, oh my God, I can't believe the transformation you've made. It's the second time in his life that he's done that. That just proves that you're capable of anything as long as you put your mind to it. You don't use it as an excuse to whine and bitch and say that you never got a fair shot. Because I promise you, if you got time to sit there and watch TV, you got time to get up and run a mile. Easy. I just don't want to hear that shit. You hear this shit all the time. You hear this, I don't have time, or I never had a shot. Nobody gave me a chance, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, there are so many productive ways that you could spend your time. And I'm guilty of it too. I spend a lot of time watching movies. I just recently went back to the gym. Like, I sat on my ass drinking whiskey for like 3 fucking months. And just recently, it's not even a New Year's resolution thing. It's a coincidence. The timing is merely coincidence that it happened to be right around New Year's that I decided, you know what? No more whiskey. At least not for now. But no more whiskey, no more alcohol, and I'm just going to exercise. I lost 20 pounds in 5 weeks before. I've lost 15 pounds in 4 weeks before. I can do it. I can do it again. And so I've managed to just set that goal for myself. But the thing is I'm not going to make excuses no matter what. The only excuse I have today, the reason why I'm not going to the gym, is because what I do is I walk to the gym. And it's a 2-mile walk. And right now it's pouring rain and thundering and lightning out there. And I'm just not going to do it. And I need a rest day anyway. I need to recover because I spent the last 2 days all day in the gym. So, but the thing is if I sit around and I make an excuse the next day, if I don't go to the gym tomorrow, and then I don't go to the gym the next day, and then I continue to eat crap, and then I decide, okay, well, I'm going to start drinking again. If I start doing that, do I blame my childhood for that? Do I blame people not supporting me? Do I blame I mean, you know what I mean? It's all on me. It's all on me, just like it's completely on him. He gets to take credit. You don't get to do both, okay? You don't get to blame the world for you being overweight. Just like you get to take credit for losing that weight and putting in the work that it takes to get in shape. You get to take credit for that. So you don't get to have that luxury of being like, I did it, all me, and then blame the rest of the world because you decided to kill 4 people. That's not how it works. You don't get to cherry pick who gets to blame something and who doesn't. The bottom line, the end of the day, you are responsible. You are an adult and you are responsible for your own actions. As a matter of fact, even if it's a mental health issue, if you are making posts, especially as a teenager, before you're even old enough to make decisions on your own, but you're making posts saying, I have this mental health disorder and I have that mental health disorder. Well, guess what? That tells me that you are 100% accountable as an adult for not seeking the help. If you were able to go to college and you were able to almost get a doctorate, a PhD in criminology, well, then you had enough sense to be able to go and get the help that you need, period. So I'm not going to sit here and give this guy any excuses like, oh, well, he had mental health issues and, oh, he was picked on as a kid and then he decided to lose weight and then he started picking on people. No, what he should have done is not picked on people. If he had enough sense, to as a teenager self-diagnose himself and make excuses for his whining and bitching and say, oh, well, I was picked on and I got a drug problem and now I have blurred snowy vision or whatever the fuck you call that. You have enough sense to be able to find what you need to be able to fix your problems, or at least treat your problems. I mean, I was suicidal at one point in my life, but I had enough sense to go, you know what? That's fucking selfish. That's fucking selfish. If I end up doing something like this, I'm going to hurt people that I really love and I care about. And I'm not willing to do that. So I had to put in a lot of work, a lot of self-reflection. Basically just kind of looking in a mirror and being like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And then realizing, like being totally oblivious and realizing, well, shit, I remember interacting with people and then being completely oblivious to the fact that these people were looking at me like, dude, I don't know what the fuck you got going on, man. But totally oblivious to it because I didn't want to see it. And everything was an excuse. Everything was a justification for my behavior, for my selfish behavior. Everything. Until I was just like, fuck, hold on a second. How did I not see this then? I don't want to be like that anymore. I don't want to be this type of person in their life. I don't want to be an inconvenience to my loved ones. And then when you think about that, you go, oh, well, I'm just going to kill myself because I don't want to be an inconvenience to my loved ones. Well, guess what? You are going to be a permanent inconvenience to your loved ones if you end up going that route. Instead of putting in the work to try to manage your issues and try to work on being a better person or try to work on being a more sound mentally and emotionally person. If you don't make that effort, well, then fuck you. Sorry, but it's the truth. That's how I feel about it. Those are my opinions on that. Because, I mean, if I were to think about that, if you have loved ones around you and your instinct is to always, well, you don't understand me. You don't understand me. Well, and then you end up doing yourself in. Well, guess what? Now what happens is that pain that you're trying to eliminate, that's an energy that doesn't go away. That pain is an energy. And what you end up doing is burdening your loved ones with that pain for the rest of their lives. You don't eliminate that pain. You pass that pain on. And that's why it's a selfish, fucked up thing to do. You don't get to sit here and be like, well, in the afterlife, visualize yourself in the afterlife going, well, I'm no longer in pain anymore. Well, no, because now your mom, if she's outlived you, is in pain. Your dad, if he's outlived you, is in pain. Your siblings, all your friends. Now you've managed to divide that pain onto all of the people that care about you. And now they got to carry that shit for the rest of their lives. Because every friend or loved one that I've ever had that ended up overdosing or killing themselves, I have to carry that pain in my heart all the time. I'm always missing them. I'm always angry with them. Always. I've forgiven them, but there's always that fuck you that I don't get to be around you anymore. Fuck you that you couldn't see the light that you brought into my life. And you were so selfish as to rob me of how awesome you were. Fuck you for that. And now I have to live with that. So at the end of the day, it's pure selfishness. Pure selfishness. It's somebody who's just fucking whining. Patricia Sell, thank you. Will, please read comments in your chat. Recall in love. Okay. Thank you. I don't know what that means, but thank you. Yeah, no, and I've gotten a lot of shit about not being sensitive enough to people with suicidal thoughts. I mean, if I didn't have them, then I wouldn't feel justified in expressing my feelings about that so loudly. I just wouldn't. You know what I mean? But I've been there. And I still struggle with the same depression. I still struggle with the same anxiety. The difference now is that I don't make excuses for shitting all over people. I don't make excuses for making it all about me all the fucking time. I've learned to manage it to where it's not a burden to others. And make no mistake, if you end up going through with your suicidal tendencies, if you end up going through with it, you are burdening all your loved ones for the rest of their days. Keep that in mind before you make such a selfish decision. Guys, I love you. We are going to discuss Athena soon. As soon as I get a little bit more information, I may go live tonight with it, or if not, I will go live tomorrow. But I may go live again tonight, guys. I love you guys very much. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And we will do this again very soon, my friends.